So I'm Vanessa, 35. My birthday was a couple days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I moved here to Mexico about 2 years ago. I think that will lead me to maybe the number one thing I would tell my younger self.
Perfect.
And that would be always to follow your heart and your intuition. A lot of my life, I grew up in a small town, and so I kind of just followed the timeline of all of my friends.
Yeah.
And, you know, my first main relationship, we had together 10 years.
Wow.
Towards the last 5, there was always something that felt a little off to me. I just kind of ignored it, thinking, oh, this is what it feels like when you're an old married couple.
Okay.
It's the only experience I knew.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it wasn't. There was something wrong there. There was something off. I was more so following in his path and heading, you know, to the schools he needed to go to for med school and things like that. And so I was kind of ignoring myself and my growth and kind of what I wanted. And so it would just be, you know, there's no timeline. There is no timeline. We each individually have our own path, and to listen to your body when something doesn't feel right, often it's not.
When did you first realize that was starting to come to light for you? At what age did you, obviously if you're 35 now, and so you moved here at 33, so it was 23 when you were in that relationship.
Yeah, I was young. We kind of went through, the end of high school through university.
Oh, wow.
And you change.
Oh, yeah.
You change, and sometimes you can change and adapt and grow together. But we didn't. We became very different people, and it was very relevant to me that this wasn't meant for me.
Okay.
And so when that relationship ended, it was more, I've been trained to always be very mindful of my money.
Yeah.
You know, buy the house, do the schooling, buy the house.
Yeah.
This is the way you need to do things.
This is the path, quote unquote.
This is the path.
Yeah.
You know, then get married and have the kids. And none of this really resonated with me. However, I did it. I did the thing. I bought the house. And so I missed out on the trips, you know, that I would have loved to go on, and the experiences that I think would have given me so much more richness in my life.
Were other people around you like living that life? Like,
it was exactly that. It's, you know, everybody was together for years and years, and everyone was getting engaged, got married, and then, you know, we were all having kids. And so all of my core friend group was kind of on this same journey together, and I felt often like the outsider. Like, I should be happy about this engagement. I should be happy about this house, but I wasn't. I was just kind of riding along.
Yeah, just going along with the herd, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, that script that Molly always talks about. You know, like, we're fed a script, and do we live up to that script, or do we do something different?
Exactly.
So what was the impetus for that decision? Like, okay, this isn't working for me anymore. I want to do something different.
A knowing.
Yeah.
It's one of the first knowings that I've had. Obviously, there's some problems within the relationship that kind of sparked this for me. And when we ended up splitting and ending things, and I started, you know, to do a little bit of therapy work and, you know, meet new people, I realized very quickly, I just didn't know what else was out there, what else was available to me. And so COVID happened. I was in my house alone, and it was tough. I'm a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
So I was the first out, the last in, and it gave me the opportunity, though, to really learn more about myself, to connect more with people. And when that ended and my mom moved here to Little Marcos, my parents had just split. I thought, I'm going to come for a visit.
Yeah.
And that was the second biggest knowing I feel like I've ever had in my life. And I get asked, what was it? And it's like, I don't know that's a tangible answer. It was like so many things that just felt right. I was like, you know what, for once in my life, I'm not going to follow the herd. I'm going to listen to my body.
Yeah.
And so it was a scary thing, but that's exactly what I did. I did my research. I put my house up for sale. I sold all my belongings, basically. And here I am.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a big, I hear that a lot, you know, that where do we find our own path as opposed to the path we're supposed to take. You know,
and the guilt you sometimes put on yourself about that. So that would be another piece, is like stop being so hard on yourself. You know, give yourself a little bit of grace in that aspect. But also another big one is that it's okay to be sensitive and it's okay to be emotional.
Yeah.
I was always, not necessarily by my parents, but it was always kind of taught to, you know, stand up tall, like you've got this, move past it.
Yeah.
You know, you're too much, you're too emotional, like you need to get yourself in check. And, you know, I'd remind myself, you know, in my younger years that no, actually this isn't, you know, my biggest personality flaw. In fact, it can be my superpower. I can do a lot of goodness with this.
Absolutely. And I think very often what we're told to diminish in ourselves in the script or society very often can be that one thing that separates us from, you know, people. It's uncomfortable for other people to look at their truth when we finally look at ours.
Absolutely.
You know, when you're confronting the reality of, oh, my life doesn't work for me, I'm sure there was more than one girlfriend that was like, oh.
Absolutely. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Is Mexico dangerous?
Absolutely.
What are you going to do for work? How are you going to, you know, make a living?
Yeah.
And it's sure having those conversations more so to make them feel comfortable.
Of course.
But for me, I had my plan, and I knew that even if that particular plan wasn't going to pan out, then flip the page and make a different one.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think
Nothing's
that's
forever.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a huge lesson, and some people don't learn it. You know? Some people go their whole lives signed on to that, you know, this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. You know, for me, the first time in 23 years, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do anything anymore. You know, like, what does that look like? I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm no longer adhered to, you know, dogs and kids and a marriage and all this other stuff. And, you know, it's like, oh, I don't know what that looks like, and that's okay.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So I love that, you know, you had that realization, and, you know, and here you are and living this beautiful new life, and in some place that I'm sure 5 years ago didn't even seem like a possibility.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, that's also the self-talk, right? And it's also the conditioning.
Yeah.
The conditioning, like, that would be crazy. Of course you can't do that. You need to, you know, save up for the house. You need to have the family. You need to focus on all that first before you can start enjoying your life. And then I've seen in so many adults in my life how that goes on and on and on, and then you're in your elderly years where you finally have this freedom, and, you know, maybe you're not in proper health to even be able to enjoy it. And so it's like, you can always make more money, go on the trip. You know, because those memories will stay forever. Money is gonna come and go.